Welcome back. I've been absent from here for a little while, but I'm back here, and we're going to talk about because it is Halloween, and Halloween is my favorite time of the month. You know it. Or it's my favorite month of all time, October. I love October. I wish October was longer. Sometimes I start watching and getting into the horror mood early in September and celebrate it all the way through October. But then again, I do celebrate it all year round because I love just the horror and all those old tapes, because that's where, at least for me growing up, in my generation of time, I was that kid that was going to those video stores back when there was videotape rental stores everywhere. You had Blockbuster, and then of course in my town you had a lot of really cool mom and pop little VHS stores that you could go in and rent stuff from. And they had that was a cool thing about the VHS era. The boxes of the tapes and stuff, that was everything. I mean, and the horror section was always my favorite to go to because it just drew you in, with all those boxes and looking at all the really cool artwork back when they actually gave a crap and tried to do something, because I think most of the time they knew that the movie probably wasn't that great, so they had to get you to rent it somehow. So anyway, I went through some of my stuff. Of course, this is not everything, but I just thought about what I had in my collection currently that I thought was obscure. Of course, there's millions and hundreds of titles out there that are great and just as good, just as obscure, if not more obscure. But at least in my collection, I went through real quick and grabbed a small stack of what I thought was horror flicks that I thought didn't exactly get the spotlight, but they're still decent, and they're still decent enough for you to watch and enjoy it for Halloween. So here we go. Let's dive into the stack. First up, you know what? On the straight up just cheeseball, gory, no-brainer slasher flick that I believe is I believe it's Spanish when it came out, but it's exactly this: Pieces. And it's exactly what you think it is. This is a Grindhouse releasing, which is really cool. And that's the thing. We're going to talk a little bit about the release itself. But this is a 3-disc deluxe edition, 2 Blu-rays plus a CD. I think the CD is just like the soundtrack or something like that. But it's got that really cool image on it. The mother taking the axe to the head. That looks like the original cover right there that I remember seeing. The body with the chainsaw and everything like that. So, yeah, pretty cool edition by, this is the Grindhouse releasing. Yep, Grindhouse releasing. I was looking to see if there was anybody else. 1983, this is the unrated. I remember when I had this on VHS, it was censored heavily. But basically, you got a school campus. Also, Christopher George is in this. If you guys remember Christopher George he was actually the main villain in El Dorado with the Duke. So interesting how he didn't give me much of a chance either. And he goes, "Oh, nope, you were too good to give a chance to. I let a one-armed man take me." So Christopher George is in this one. Look at that. Even Joe Bob Briggs says, the best chainsaw flick since the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Splatter City, 4 stars. Some of you probably don't even know who Joe Bob Briggs is, but some of you do. I remember watching the Monster Vision on TNT. That was some great stuff. Anyway, this is awesome. But, it's cool. They got a school campus thing. So obviously, there's a murderer going around. They don't know what's going on. He's chopping people up. And, it's got some really good gore in it. A lot of chainsaw hacking action or sawing action and everything. But, yes, Pieces. A really cool one. Kind of obscure a little bit. Maybe not so much, but a lot of people probably know about it. Great movie. I like that. When I was kind of under the weather about some months, almost a year ago, you would say, I was a little under the weather, and I had ordered this in the mail, and I remember just like watching it because I was kind of like vegetated on the couch just watching it over and over and over again. It was entertaining. It made my my downtime go by really nice. In pieces. All right. Next one up is Intruder. This is a really cool one. It's got Bruce Campbell in it. It is a oh no, I thought it was it's got Sam Raimi in it. I didn't know if he directed it or not. The special makeup effects is by Greg Nicotero, which is known today as K&B Effects Company. Greg Nicotero did a lot of stuff with Tom Savini early in the days. If you're a big fan of Tom Savini like I am, of course all the Romero Dead films and stuff. But anyway, he was doing a lot of work with Savini. Greg Nicotero is another one of those old school greats that's out there. But Intruder, basically, if I recall right, this is a grocery store, and yeah, that's what I remember about it. It's a grocery store, and there's a killer running around a grocery store. I think this is you can still get this on I think Blu-ray now. I believe it's out on Blu-ray. This is the Full Moon Pictures releasing of it. I found this at the local record store, I believe. It's kind of rattling around in there. Make sure it's still. But it's a grocery store massacre type video. So if you like that kind of deal, it's fun. It kind of a dark and cheesy movie, but you know, it in light with all that kind of stuff. Let me see when it came out. It's definitely got to be in the 80s when this thing popped out. So, but really cool. This is another one that's I think is kind of it flies under the radar. Intruder. There's a lot of other titles under it, but you got to make sure you get the grocery store massacre one or the grocery store slasher. All right. Next up, and by the way, these are in no particular order. Motel Hell. Yes, Motel Hell. This is a really cool movie. I really like this movie a lot. I bought this. This is the collector's edition. It's got the 4K releasing in Blu-ray. Although I don't have a 4K player yet, but it's nice that it has the Blu-ray in there. It looks like, yeah, so there's the another alternative cover, which I do like is what this is by Scream Factory. And Scream Factory's been really good at releasing awesome stuff with other slipcovers. I guess they got alternative artwork. One of them is just, you know, the house or the motel in the background. And then you got them sitting on that tractor thing. If you haven't seen the movie, that they're harvesting people and cutting them up for barbecue and serving them out as beef jerky and jerky links and stuff like that. It's got a couple really good people in it. One of them, obviously, Roy Calhoun. I can't remember how you pronounce his name. I'm probably doing that totally wrong. And Nancy Parsons. Nancy Parsons is a great actress. She passed away, but she was always involved in a lot. You probably remember her from Porky's. But she plays an awesome role in this. She really hits it on. And I've watched the special features on the making of this, and Rory really liked the movie. He really wanted it to be good. So, and as a high caliber actor as he was during that time, especially and doing a movie like this is great. But yeah, this is another one of those. Saw it on VHS years and years ago. And just love the way it looked, and I'm a sucker for motel movies and hotel kind of scary type deals. So that's a really cool one. That's kind of like again along the lines the same thing, like anything like that. Hacking people up for barbecue, motel, Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of deal. I know it sounds really morbid, but it's Halloween. I love this kind of stuff. All right. I love the fake stuff in the movies. This is another one that I think is obscure, that definitely flew under the radar. I saw it on some sort of streaming thing. I think I saw it originally, and so I had to have the physical copy. This is come from Adam Green. Adam Green did the Hatchet films, which I love because they're just over the top, old school, gory, and of course featuring Kane Hodder. I love Kane Hodder. I read his book, watched his documentary, and there's a couple other things that are out with him called The Killer and I, which is also a book, but slash like show documentary thing that they went through, and they're just doing a bunch of shenanigans. Awesome stuff. If you like Kane Hodder, recommend those things. Read his book called Unmasked, I believe it is, and The Killer and I, which is just totally a balls out fun, where he went with his author that was writing the book, author Mike, and just a bunch of shenanigans, crazy stuff, where you actually get to see Kane just being Kane. And then there's another documentary called To Hell and Back, which really focuses on some stuff that he experienced and everything like that. But I'm a really big Kane Hodder fan. The first time I ever saw any of the Jason movies was Part 7 on TV, and Kane is Jason. I mean, Kane, but what a great guy. He's just an awesome. I would love to go to a convention, actually meet him. Out of a lot of the horror people I've met, and all the signatures and autographs I've gotten, he's definitely on the top of the list, along with Robert Englund. So, but anyway, Digging Up the Marrow by Adam Green. This is such a really neat movie because when you're watching the first bit of it, I'm going to tell you this, when you're watching the first bit of it, it almost seems like, what the heck? This is totally stupid. But continue watching it. I promise you, it is actually decent. This is a decent movie. Adam Green, really good stuff. I like what Adam Green has done. I really like the Hatchet stuff. I hope he does more stuff like it or whatnot. Unfortunately, I noticed I haven't seen anything recent from him, so I hope he didn't fade out or fizzle out or something like that, because he did do some really cool stuff. All right, I don't really want to tell you what that movie's about. I'll let you just watch it and kind of go for yourself. But I think, I'll tell you this, I think it'll shock you what that movie has to offer. All right, Bad Moon is another one. Werewolf movie. I know, you're like, oh, come on, another werewolf movie? Mid-90s werewolf movie. It's got Merle Hemingway in it, so she obviously does a really good job in it. But this is a decent movie. I bought this. This is another Scream Factory releasing. Great stuff. Always remember seeing this VHS cover. Of course, during the time when I was looking at this had just come out, so this was everywhere. The cover of this was everywhere. I believe, I got to tell you this, there's only one other one that really sticks in my head, and that's Silver Bullet. Stephen King's Silver Bullet. That was Gary Busey before he went crazy. And Corey Haim is in that one. This is, next to that one, this is probably the best looking werewolf in werewolf movies I've seen. I know what you're thinking. There is all the other ones. I actually am not a fan of American Werewolf in London. I don't really care for that one. The other one that I like, I had to go back and actually rewatch it again, because when I first watched it, I really didn't care for it, was The Howling. I do have The Howling. I'm glad I bought it and glad I kept it. But the other one I didn't like, I didn't really care for, was The American Werewolf in London. Mainly because I don't like the love story type tie-in things. I don't. I don't like to see the woman get heartbroken and, she's in that tug of war type deal. I want it, if I'm watching a slasher film or a horror film, I don't want to watch a romance movie. Straight up ripping, gore, blood, all that kind of stuff. That's what we come to see. Then come to see a romance drama. And I hate when they mix them like that. It just seems hokey to me. So, all right. Next up on the list is great fun. Just saw this on TV. Again, the Monster Vision. Bought it on VHS. And now, obviously, Scream Factory did a great release of this. The People Under the Stairs. Come on. If you have not seen this movie, seriously, stop right now and go find it, buy it, rent it, whatever. I don't know if you can. Oh, yeah, I guess you can still rent video. I mean, but I tell you, this is such a cool movie. Wes Craven one of his best movies, I think. Obviously Nightmare on Elm Street. That will be always near and dear. 1984, but just fantastic. The villains in it, the whole idea, the house that they go into trying to break in and steal stuff, and of course, what a twist, getting trapped in there, realizing, hey, we just broke into the wrong house. These people are it's almost hard to explain what this movie's about. You just gotta see it. But yes, The People Under the Stairs. Everett McGill plays the craziest, awesome bad guy in it ever. It made me just love Everett McGill. And, of course, looking back and going and watching, Silver Bullet and stuff, of course they chose him to do this. And, of course, Twin Peaks and everything. And he was also the lady that's in it with him. She's also in Twin Peaks as well. So, The People Under the Stairs. That's a great one. All right. Another one here is kind of interesting. I picked this up recently. Interesting just to watch it, because what made me get this, and I'll read you the excerpt from it. Razorback. It's pretty much almost what you think it is. Crazy pig, run around ripping people to shreds out in Australia. I believe this is an Australian horror film. But here we go. I'm just going to read you the back of this. If this doesn't make you want to watch this film, I mean, I don't know. Somewhere in Australia, in the Australian outback, there's a creature that can rip a man in half, destroy a house in seconds. Razorback. Come on. All right. The last two I'm going to show you is in the spirit of, if you're like me, I love detective movies. I love, when they're chasing down the serial killer kind of deal. And a good example of that is the movie Seven. Everybody knows that movie. Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, Kevin Spacey. That's a great movie. And if you love that movie, you're going to love these two movies if you haven't seen them already. All right, first one up. You can almost argue this is a straight blatant ripoff of Seven. But it's good. It's decent. It's got Christopher Lambert in it. Resurrection. Kind of a difficult movie to find, I've noticed. This is a re-releasing of it by Vinegar Syndrome. Vinegar Syndrome is another great company that does obscure movies and re-releases them. I saw this at the record store for $20 and I bought it. I didn't even think about it. I just bought it. A lot of times I do. And by the way, I do support my local record stores, as you should too. I go to Zia Records and buy physical copies from them and keep them going. I don't mind going in there and literally dropping a lot of money. That's where a lot of my money goes, is to the local record store. Pretty much if you've seen Seven, then this is basically Seven with a twist. So, also warning, it's extremely graphic. It's just really graphic. So if you are going to watch this movie, I highly recommend making sure that it's uncut, because I think there's versions of this movie out there that's been censored. Extremely graphic movie, but decent. If you like Seven, that's another great one that's like Seven. All right, another one on the list would be one that I think also has flown under the radar, Copycat, with Sigourney Weaver and Holly Hunter. This is a great total just serial killer running around, people trying to track him, and kind of strange ordeal. Copycat. Glad that they released this on Blu-ray. No fancy releasing or anything like that, just out there and about. But that's a great one. I'm glad they re-released that, because I saw that years ago. I had it on VHS, and I said, you know what? I had to go back and sometimes with that one, it did make me wonder. I wonder if it holds up. I wonder if it's going to hold up and kind of feel like, is this going to be still what I remember? So. But, it held up really well. So, yeah, and I still enjoyed it. Absolutely good. They did a good job in it, and it still holds up today. So, anyway, there you have it. My picks from my collection. Obviously, there's so much out there. There's, honorable stuff you could mention, like Mausoleum, Mortuary, all those type of really cool, obscure ones that are still floating around. There's one called Slaughterhouse that was, out with the pigs and stuff like that. But, I still scour these rental stores or these record stores and stuff like, well, not rental stores. There's not what I mean is the record stores. I still scour, and that's one of the great things about October is there's still, you can go out there in October and they usually bring out a lot of these. But I'm really grateful for companies like Vinegar Syndrome, especially Scream Factory, for going through and trying to re-release a lot of this stuff and doing it the right way and doing it where, for a lot of us that remember the VHS covers and doing these original artworks, that's really important, and not just kind of taking artistic license and recreating some kind of artwork for it. I really appreciate and like the fact they went back through and offered the original VHS cover arts, because that's important for me, for people like me, and I'm sure many of you out there. So I love that, and I love they're doing that. So horror will always be near and dear to me, and please support physical media.